you let your team and your clients run your calendar and you get burnt out so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And the faster you can figure out how not to do that by time blocking, but just like learning how to say no.
Hey, how's it going? It's Tim Brown of Hook Agency, and I'm here with Mike Grinberg of Proof Point Marketing. How you doing, man?
Doing very well. It's great to see you.
We are doing the Agency Growth Mastermind, which is agencies over $1 million helping other people get there. And I think that this is going to be one of the best episodes because Mike and Proofpoint have gotten themselves to the point where they have enough revenue per month to be at the $1 million mark. And a lot of people would really appreciate knowing how to do that. And it's hard for them to hear anyone that's like at 5 million or 10 million or 20 million and like be able to absorb any of it because it's just so far beyond. So as you're getting to this point, which is freaking phenomenal, by the way, bro, congratulations.
Thank you. Now I have now I have to deliver the best episode ever.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I'm just saying, I'm very curious. Like, what are the things that allowed you to get to this? And there are so many agencies, dude. Let me just kind of outline this for you. A lot of agencies go out of business, bro. 2 or 3 freaking years in, 4 or 5 years in. So I'm just saying, it's a real accomplishment, So first of all, we're just giving you a high, what do you call that? A clap. And I'm sure that the other agencies listening to this, people that are in need of this information, that are stuck, that are even sometimes being like manhandled by consultants sometimes that are grabbing all their money. You know, there's a lot of consultants just sucking up the money out of these little tiny agencies. And that because they're all like, well, I think maybe I need another consultant to get to, but here's the deal. I've used a lot of consultants and they've been huge. So it's kind of knowing what's the difference and stuff like that. So anyways, before I go on and on, tell us, how'd you do it?
So I'll riff off of the consultant thing that you're going about, which is, I pretty much agree with what you're saying. I think there is value to consultants. I think the thing that maybe people need to consider is don't think of it like it's not a magic bullet. Yeah. Like it's not just because you get a consultant doesn't mean that's a magic bullet for you to all of a sudden skyrocket your business, right? You have to have all the other pieces in place to be able to do that and take advantage of what a consultant could give you. Like, let's assume it's a good consultant because there are a bunch of leeches, for lack of a better word.
There's a real thing. It's a real thing.
Yep.
And a lot of them are the ones doing these podcasts for agencies, by the way. So no offense. I'm not even trying to sell you guys anything. I'm literally I want to share all this stuff because I wish I had it. I'm not selling anything to agencies at all.
Yep.
So let's go.
Yeah, no, me neither for that matter. And when Gabby and I were running our Mixing Business Pleasure podcast, which you and Bia were on, we're going to get that going at some point soon, hopefully again this year. But we had Brent Weaver from U Gurus. They do a pretty good job with like more like smaller agencies, kind of think getting them up to maybe $1 million. I think that's their goal, something like that. I mean, they got some good stuff. Again, it's the same thing. Like there's no, and we didn't use them, by the way. I just know we know them and they do pretty good work. But, it's not a magic bullet, right? I think you have to be, you have to have already, I feel like you have to have tried enough stuff already on your own and you have to have figured out enough things that don't work and kind of have at least some, you have to have a decent amount of business acumen to be able to leverage a consultant. I think that's where I'm trying to get to.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to understand.
What do you think?
Oh, go for it. Ask your question.
What are the things that in the last couple of years, because once again, this is a phenomenal achievement. What do you think are the things that really kind of allowed that to happen? What are the couple of things that kind of clicked into place that made it possible? Because that's not nothing, bro. That's freaking insane.
So interestingly enough, like COVID, right?
Yep.
2020 sucked. 2021 was better, but still not amazing. And until more like the second half of 2021 was good. But it forced us to, like, as with just about everything else, right? COVID was an amplifier, right? So it either amplified all the good stuff that you had going on, or it amplified all the bad stuff that you had going on. And for us, there were enough holes in our game, if you will, that got very quickly amplified. Number one was we had no sales process, and we're way too dependent on referrals prior to, and it was great. Like the business was growing, everything was good, but once COVID hit, a bunch of our big clients went away because they were in industries that got hit, and we had no way to get new business. We had no idea. We didn't know how to sell, didn't have a process. Heck, I don't think we had a CRM at that point. It was bad. So
I like how I asked how you got to $1 million, and you're telling me the problems from 2021 that hit. But those came up, and then you had to address them, and then the addressing them made this happen.
Yep. So we got sales training. So shout out to Closers Media, and Mikolai and whatnot. We got sales training. Formally paid for it and invested in it, and then just invested our time into getting better. We made a bunch of decisions. Like we had a different podcast. So Gabby and I run the agency, as you know. We had a different podcast we were running, and we're like, you know what? This is great. It's fun, but it's not actually helping our main revenue stream. So let's cut it for the time being. And it sucked. Like, we really enjoyed it. So we cut that out for the time being, and we launched our marketing podcast, B2B marketing podcast, which it took a while, but between the amount of content that it gave us to fuel our own personal brands and the voice that it gave us and the access to people that it gave us, that right now is like 90% of our pipeline. Podcast plus social.
I love that.
Podcast plus social is like
good.
90% of our pipeline.
Yeah.
So that was a huge thing. So figuring out like how to get in front of the right people. The other big thing is, and we can dive into each of these separately because there's a lot.
I probably will ask more follow-up questions, but I'm curious. Yeah.
But like the other big thing is our, for lack of a better word, like even we were fairly niche down in terms of who we were going after. Like our process, and we had some things that we did differently in terms of content frameworks and things like that, but we didn't have a good story. Like we sounded, and we were pretty much just a Me Too agency out there. And it finally clicked where I'm like, okay, the mission, vision, whatever, that's all great, but it doesn't matter. Nobody cares. So we went and developed a strategic narrative, which I don't know if you follow Andy Raskin at all, but I think that's pretty genius. Like the idea is forget the mission and vision and just build your narrative, which is the main deliverable is the sales deck. Like, oh, that makes sense. So taking that concept and built it, and all of a sudden, like sales conversations became easy because all of a sudden you're no longer selling yourself, you're selling a concept. Like, hey, here's how we think. We're, like, and again, our concept is, it's customer-centric revenue marketing, and it's, marketing's job is to build relationships at scale. I say those two sentences, and people are like, what do you mean? Or, that's interesting. Right. And all our content is around some way, shape, or form related to that, et cetera, et cetera. So it allowed us to like really, really focus. So which is like, it's another way to niche, I feel like, because you can niche by going into a specific industry like you guys have. You can niche by going in a specific service type like podcasting or whatever, or you can niche down by having a very specific story for the people that you're trying to sell to, which could be a little bit, you can have.
It's funny because,
like we sell to med tech, manufacturing, and professional services, but our story is very, very specific. And then what we offer
so it's going to attract
is very specific.
Totally. And I just wanted to add there that like this podcast, like some way, shape, or form always touches on niching for some reason. And everyone has their own takes. And I like that you're kind of positioning this into this as like, that's going to attract certain people and kind of, you know, so that's a different type. But it sounds like you do have some industries, you said med tech, professional
Yeah, I mean,
services.
we
What was the other one?
do.
Manufacturing.
Yeah, so and it's
Yeah.
all kind of, it is pretty tight, but even then, like, again, we've been doing for 3 years now, something like that, right?
Yeah, I was half niched for 4 years, 4.5.
Yep.
You know, like I was like doing content, a lot of content for construction.
Yep.
And I was doing also content for financial services and, you know, some medical and like some other stuff. So but I was mostly pushing on construction. And then I just
Yep.
slowly like, okay, there's just too many clients now in this. It just makes sense to just kind of like get all of our standard operating procedures this way. But yeah. So how have you seen, you know, like I'm here in the niche, besides marketing and sales helping a niche, I also think, or being helped by a niche, I also see processes be helped by a niche. So how is this messaging niche vibe of what you're saying and some of the niche stuff that you've been doing been helping your processes internally besides the sales and marketing stuff?
I think it's 100% true. So I think, you know, we've always had a fairly defined process, but I think ever since we've developed that story, that narrative, it's forced us to go back and look over all of our strategic deliverables, over all of our processes, and put that lens on top of it and say, okay, does this still make sense? And how can this be better?
Yeah.
That's part of the thing that we're going over. We're like, that part's not done. Like so each year we, ever since last year, we kind of have a focus word. And last year, interestingly, the word was focus. Yes. Last year was the year of focus. This year's the year of structure. So like, this year, like we're really doubling down, especially in Q1, of really putting a lot of structure into place. And that's both from a delivery perspective, like how do we deliver the work, to how is the team structured? How is how do we hire? How do we onboard? All of those things. And I think they're all totally interconnected, right? Because once you have a good delivery process, well, now you have to onboard people to that delivery process, which makes the onboarding a little bit easier because you're not just throwing people in and saying, hey, do stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. You're talking about the sales deck right now. I'm just going to share a little bit of what we're doing on this. Is like, I literally just have like pictures of the deliverable. It's all not pretty. None of ours shit it's just literally like, this is what the deliverables you're going to get. Cause I just want it to be very clear and I don't want them to not know what they're getting. So, I think I'm going to go and listen to the guy that you're talking about and try to like absorb some of what he's saying. Cause it sounds really cool. Mine right now is just literally like pictures of the deliverables. And actually at the beginning, I start with the problem and then the opportunity. So I do that at the beginning and then it's mostly just, and then at the very end is a picture of our team. Cause I think sometimes, dude, you and I are up against, and this is the people that might be listening to this. So, hey, hi, but we're up against 1 or 2 person agencies. And by showing your group, it does help a lot. And I think more of our marketing should be showing the people. So we're working on that now to show more people on our social and all those types of things, to just be like, we're a team. We're not, this is not selling Tim Brown. This is selling the team, and the team is good. And I just want to keep on hammering that because I'm not interested in being the main deliverable. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, I feel like that's Gabby and I are the same way. And we purposefully like invested in good photography from the get-go. Like we've had, it's always been our people, because it's the same thing, right? You want to embrace them because, comparatively, we're still fairly small. Like we got 7 full-time employees at this point. But
that's a pretty big deal compared to like 1 or 2 person. And there's so many more. And it's you and I 3 years ago or whatever, like 5 years ago, because there's nothing wrong with them per se, but our competitive advantage does happen to be show of force sometimes. So that's okay. I mean, I still I also pitch the smallness of our team compared to,
Yep,
150 person agencies. So there's no, excuse me.
for sure, for sure.
But weirdly, that photography can be a way to show that, and I do think once you're past a certain size and where you guys are, and as it goes forward, just making that part of showing who you are. And then right now I'm putting into place the making another person responsible for some video, which I had for a little bit and I've moved away from, and then I'm coming back a little bit, and
Yep.
having them make sure that they have one video with somebody else on the team. They give them time to outline it and then make a video and then put it out without me. I don't even want to look at it, dude, at this point. I mean, I would love to get to that point where I'm not so micromanaging on our marketing. I am, unfortunately. So I'm working on it. So if you see a little bit girlier touch on the copywriting on our Instagram, it's not me. It's not me anymore, but it's a nice thing.
Yeah, that's Gabby on our side. So go ahead. You're saying?
How have you guys on that marketing side? Are you guys looking about how you can scale out your stuff to other people? Is it still just Gabby and like?
So
what do you
we've got
think
external
is
resources.
the right time? Yeah. Okay.
We got some external
Nice.
resources. I mean, we have an external, some external folks that do our post-production for the podcast. We have,
Nice.
we use Design Pickle for a lot of our creative.
Well, it's looking good. So good job on them. That's awesome. I mean, and that's nice. I mean, that's nice to have.
If they honestly, it works really well if you can, like, once you have good brand guidelines, and if you can give really good direction, and it's more, again, it's like more production level stuff, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have used, like, we just did our holiday campaign. We did the playing cards. We hired a really good illustrator for that. We didn't use them for it.
Nice. Yeah, I could tell that was
intense project. And there's been other stuff, like we've, like with the website, we've hired externally for certain things. What else? So
you're saying basically don't be too proud to gather your resources around you for people that aren't.
I've been the too proud guy. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
In the long run, because you end up spending so much of your time that could be spent doing significantly more impactful things.
When is that moment that it's time to spend some money? And when is that time? Because some people want to spend money out the gate. And I'd suggest watching that a little bit, because if you can't pay yourself okay, maybe watch that and try to, I say be scrappy at the beginning. I don't know how you feel about that, but I'm just saying, like, towards the very beginning, watch spending too much. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I think in general, like, as a bootstrapped startup, if you will, right? Self-funded. And I think there's no loans, no VC funding, none of that kind of stuff. You really have to watch your cash flow, even when you're much bigger, right? Because when you're bigger, you just got bigger bills to pay. So I think you always have to be smart with your money anywhere you slice it. I think whether you're making $100K a year, whether you're making $500K, whether you're making $1 million or 10 million, I would assume. I've been part of larger agencies.
Not
too,
me. No, I prefer to lose money every year. Seems like it sometimes.
My opinion on it is, like, you always have to look at it as a opportunity cost for your time. Like, what could you be doing better? Like, as long as you're able to pay yourself a decent amount, like, and sometimes I think I will argue, I think sometimes it's worth taking a hit on paying yourself in the short term to get to where you want to go in the medium term. I'm not gonna say long term, because you can't. I think in this kind of business, I don't think you can take a hit for 2-3 years. You can take
forever,
a hit for say 3 to 6 months, right, on your personal stuff, and then to be able to get to that next phase and then actually get paid more after the fact.
Some people. So we're talking about going from getting to 1 million yearly revenue. So to get to that point that you guys will hit this year, this is per month. You guys have over that, basically.
Yeah.
So this spot where some people don't want to jump. Some people don't want to jump, because honestly, dude, when it's just me and my wife, we actually made almost better money in certain ways than we are. So some people don't want to make that jump because there's this valley that happens a little bit on the cash flow as you're hiring and you're building out. Why make that jump? Why not just sit there with the two of you and kind of outsource and that kind of thing? What is the impetus? Because there is some kind of like valley that happens, and what is getting you through that as you guys move on? And maybe we went a little fast, so we really cranked down on the profit a lot during that, and we're just starting to kind of come out of that now. But as far as what has brought you through that, or how is that going?
I mean, honestly, for us, it was, we never wanted it to be the Mike and Gabby show. Like from day one, like before we even formally incorporated or anything, that was, we're like, okay, if we're going to do this, we're going to have a team and we're going to try to get to the point where it's not, it's not the Mike and Gabby show. So that was always the goal, and that still is. Yes, I think that's very true. If I look at maybe year 2 compared to say year 4, we probably made more in year 2 than in year 4 ourselves. Year 5
happens as well.
Whatever. Maybe it's year 1 versus year.
Are you counting as year 4? Was year 4 COVID? Because maybe
yes. There's a few confounding.
Yeah, because I don't think we were as bad as we thought we were in 2020. Like I don't think our company is like fundamentally flawed in the way that 2020 made it seem like a lot of people's businesses were fundamentally flawed.
Yep.
Like you almost want to watch learning too much when there's a weird outside of your control hit. Like you don't need to change your entire life just because there was one insane COVID year. I mean, I don't know. That's my mindset.
No, I agree with that. Again, I don't like we definitely didn't fundamentally change. I wouldn't even say that we quote unquote pivoted. It was just more of there were some glaring holes in the chinks in the armor, right? And we had to fix them.
Exactly.
So
exactly. No, that's a great way to look at it.
I think the other thing would be is we really, from a operations perspective, we really dove in and figured out the revenue model. Like every agency understands the kind of the basics of, okay, we're spending hours, we get paid X for hours, et cetera, value-based pricing, maybe even, hopefully, and for anybody listening. But like, how can you simplify the revenue model so that everybody on the team gets it, so that everybody knows what part they play, and so that you can easily manage it? Because it's the problem I think we had for a little while is we didn't really work on that, and it was too complicated. Our P&L was too complicated, not because of any reason, it was just too complicated. We never really did anything with it and never put it in a place where we can make decisions out of it. And then, now it's like very simple, where it's like, okay, I know we're gonna, we're building out teams. It's teams of 4. They're gonna manage 3 to 5 clients. Those teams are responsible for X amount of revenue at X amount of profit. Like I almost don't even need to, if I have the right clients, the right number of clients, I don't even really need to measure hours for profitability. The only thing I need to measure hours for is making sure people aren't getting burnt out.
And making sure you're hired. Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Like, because if that team of 4 is managing 4 clients at 15 to 20K a month in retainers, I know exactly what's coming in. I know what that team costs me. I know what the revenue is coming in. I know exactly the profit margin that's going to happen. Then the only thing I need to manage there is, are we charging enough? Which that's the other thing. Like we've increased our rates significantly, and for a very valid reason, in my opinion.
We have too, and like we literally had to let go of like 6 clients recently, unfortunately. Like, and that was I've always heard that, and it sounds like a myth. And we basically said, here's our price, and in some cases it was double, and so I kind of knew they were going to go away. But I had to. And it was like, dude, if I want to keep anybody at this company, I need to be able to give raises, and I can't have them managing this many clients and that kind of thing. So we had to do it. And then clients went away, but then funny enough, dude, like already, like we have 3 clients starting, and it's like, it's already more than those. You know what I mean? Like we had to do it. We had to do
Yep.
it because otherwise this company couldn't exist and our employees would be constantly churning in and out of here. And
Yep.
I basically said we need to do better work more consistently, and money is part of the way to get there. That's it.
100%. No, that's pretty much exactly where we're at too. Like we're at this phase where, you know, we're working to do more for the clients we have. There's probably going to be certain ones that probably we won't be working with for in 23, I would guess. That's just how it's got to be, because, you know, the very simple, like the interesting thing is, I think this is where it's easy to get stuck. If you look at each client individually, you're like, oh, well, we're profitable on this client. Like, I don't think we really didn't have any clients that we were losing money on. There were some that were more profitable and some that were less profitable, but we were making money on all of them. The problem happens is, well, I could have whatever 4 clients and make $900,000 a year or $1 million a year, or I can have 8 clients and make the same amount of money. But for 8 clients, I either need different staff or I need more staff, which means I make less profit.
Just a note for all the audience. Remember those niches for Mike. Our numbers are so much higher, and our probably average retainer is much lower, but there's different models, different industries.
Yeah.
And whatever's high or low for you. Cause to me, our average retainer is probably like 4 or 5 or something like that. And that's actually pretty high for our market that we're in.
Yep.
And it's higher than these people are used to. So we are on the high side of that, high touch, etc. Yeah. So what are some of the things that allow you to say these prices, and your new sets of clients are not wincing as much as maybe they were previously? What has helped you kind of, this is, I guess we're going into sales coaching a little bit here for people,
Yep.
but like, what has stopped them from being scared off by that higher price tag?
Honestly, the main thing is that narrative. I think if you can stop, because here's the basic premise is this. You can go to market in two ways, right? You can say, hey, my name is Mike Grinberg. I'm from Proof Point Marketing. Can I get 15 minutes of your time to talk about whatever, demand generation? Great. What do you guys do? Well, you know, we do content marketing, we do performance media, blah, 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 blah. Great. How are you different than all these other agencies? Well, you know, whatever. That conversation going that way, most likely they're not going to pay at that conversation. If I give them a $15,000 or $20,000 a month price tag, they're going to go, are you crazy? No way. Or I can go to market with a very different message, which is, hey, marketing is all about building relationships at scale. And the models out there are wrong. You need to think, we think about things fundamentally differently. The mindset's different. Are you in or are you out? Like, do you believe in that? Yeah, that sounds interesting. Okay, cool. I'm no longer, at this point, I'm the only game in town.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the difference. And like, even though what we're doing on the back end would have been the same, but it's how you present it, right? The value was always there. We just never really knew how to sell it. Because we're making our clients gobs of money. Like the ROI is there and it always was. Yeah. And even at these higher rates, it's still there, right? Because like if you think about it, like as an example, like if you do the math, right? Our average, I haven't done the math. Our average is somewhere around the 15K a month mark. And so if you do, you know, if you look at that, that's $180,000 a year that somebody would pay us, plus media, you know, et cetera. So let's assume maybe with everything that we're doing for somebody, they're spending $250, $350 a year. We're working with with clients whose average average contract is like $2 million, $3 million. They make one sale from what we do with them. They paid for the next 4 years. Yeah. Right. So like there's no question of, and even if you take their profit margins or whatever, fine, they make 4 sales, they pay for the next 4 years. Right. It's not, the numbers work. And again, this is what you're talking about. They're different. Yeah. Everyone's got a different niche, right? That doesn't make sense for what you guys are doing. but that's fine.
Well,
You have a
so
different.
I was just gonna say, commercial construction, we get that vibe a little
Hmm,
bit sometimes,
that makes
which
sense.
is fun. I do like that, when we get to be part of that.
Yep.
And it is so much clearer. They're like, hey, so we got, 2 schools this past week.
Yep.
We sold the construction for 2 schools. Like you hear the price, you're like, damn, we're not
Yep.
charging enough. So it's a good vibe though. We're happy to be part of that on that side too.
Yep.
Okay. I appreciate you sharing some of the secret sauce on your sales stuff. You can mention your sales coach too, because he was part of that as well. Is that true?
Yeah. So Michael Abador with Closers Media definitely helped us quite a bit. I mean, we've have, like the storytelling and whatnot. We've definitely, that was something
Yeah.
that we did on our own. Like I think
Yeah.
where he definitely helped was just getting us to understand, I guess at this point, what I would call like basic sales concepts, like how
Yeah.
to talk
Yeah.
to people, how to do multiple touches, how to like,
Yeah.
how to read the room, how to manage
Yeah.
the room, like all this kind of
Yeah.
stuff that, like basic things like don't get off the call until you have the next meeting scheduled, that I still
Yeah.
sometimes do.
That's
Don't
good.
do that, people. Like
Ha.
you're asking to be chasing that person around for the next 3 weeks, getting the meeting that you could have just gotten if you spent 30 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I also like the book Challenger Sale. Have you ever read that?
Mhm. I haven't read it, but I
I
know,
love,
like I know of the
yeah, the
challengers.
thing you just described reminds me a lot of Challenger Sale, which is if you're challenging the market and
Mhm.
you implant this idea and then they get stuck and then and it's different and you're kind of saying, no, that's the way other people have been doing it wrong, and it gets stuck in their head and then they
Yep.
can't shake it and they're coming back to you to get to itch that,
Mhm.
to scratch that itch. Okay, so anything else you want to share with the audience? Once again, you're talking to other agency owners. Some of them will fail. Some of them will succeed. What would you like to help? If you could help more of them succeed, what would you say? What do you think you could say to help them?
There's there's two things. I was thinking about this before we jumped on. There's two other ones that come to mind. One is hiring. We definitely made some mistakes in hiring early on. People churned through and whatnot. That was totally, like, I don't blame them. I blame ourselves. We did
Mhm.
not have a good process in place.
Mhm.
We have a much better process in place now. Like I'm happy. It's listed on our site. So if anybody wants to know what it is, they can just go
Sweet.
to Proof Point, look at our website. It's listed in pretty detail. But for anybody
Nice.
who doesn't want to waste their time, we do an intro interview. We do a technical, self-guided assessment where they go through and it's like some video questions, and we kind of test for both culture and marketing concepts, some technical,
Mhm.
it varies by position, obviously, like different questions for content marketer versus a performance marketer, etc.
Mhm.
And then that gets followed up with a technical, a technical interview deep dive where we pretty much talk about some of the stuff in the assessment, and then after that we do a team round robin where they get to meet some more folks and then we make our offer. So that process we haven't made a bad hire since we implemented that.
Mhm.
So
I love that. I think you said 2 things. Is there one more?
yeah. So the other one is so this one, in full transparency, we're still figuring out.
Yeah, I
But
talk about things, I'm figuring it out all the time. Go for it.
but it's figuring out how to take care of yourself, because it's like
Yeah.
we definitely got burnt out,
Mm.
and it's figuring out how to manage your calendar as a
Mm.
agency owner, because especially with early on, I mean, I'm sure you can relate, and probably a lot of people listening to this can relate, which is
Yeah. Yeah.
when you're still doing client work, it
Yeah.
is so freaking hard, and
Mm.
you let your team and your clients run your calendar, and you get burnt out so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And the faster you can figure out how not to do that by
Mm.
time blocking, but just learning how to say no. And what I found is over the last couple of years, clients don't mind if you say no. You just have to,
Mm.
as long as the expectations are put out up front, and they kind of know, hey, you know what? Mike doesn't take meetings on Fridays, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's never even available. Don't ask. Or like, vacation time is the other thing. Like it's hard to take actual vacation as a business owner in general, as an agency owner, probably even more so, or any service-based business probably.
Yeah.
But like being able to
And
actually
sometimes it's exciting. Like being on a vacation. I remember being in Mexico and seeing a deal. Like I just needed to say a couple final things and the deal's coming through. And I'm like, this is the life. And so you're excited
yeah.
and you're kind of like closing deals. So you got to watch that though, because it's not as exciting as the years go on. If a deal is like trying to negotiate at the last second and I'm in Mexico now, I'm going to be a little annoyed. I'm going to be tired, man. It's tiring,
Yeah.
I mean, actually, I'd still like it, but it's just one of those things. Anything else that you've learned on like how to not get burnt out? Cause I certainly definitely struggle with
honestly, like that's the part that we're still working on. Like it's a day by day. I've got like, today's a good day. I took care of myself. I got a workout in. I took my daughter to school. I'm going to end my day after we're done here. Got a bunch of work done in between. Yesterday, not so good of a day, worked a bunch, didn't do anything, barely even had lunch. Right. So it's still up and down, but I think overall, like
up and down,
recognizing that you need to do it. And like figuring out how to do less and like what they're prioritizing both in the business and personally.
Just because I just read a book about this, because I'm do get burnt out because I run really hot and I go, and I like used to glorify it and now I got to watch that. I just finished a book called Effortless by Greg McKeown. He's the guy that made the book Essentialism, which is also very good. It's basically like cutting things down to the essentials, really recognizing what's essential. And occasionally you can go into that mode, just only the essentials this week or whatever. Effortless, a couple good things that came out of it. Like one of his things is just asking yourself regularly, what if this could be easy? Whatever it happens to be on. What if this could be easy? And there is a lot of stuff we really make harder than it needs to be. And that is weird.
Or what if we didn't have to do it? That's the other question I actually like to ask. What if we just didn't need to do this?
Yeah. That's a really good one. Trimming that shit down every once in a while, the extra stuff that we come up with for fun. And not for fun, out of necessity at one point that you don't need anymore. His other stuff, he talks about only do in the day what you can recover from in the day. I think that's really good. It's just swimming around in my head right now because I just read this book, but like, that's good. Because I used to do like 3-day pushes where I'm like from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. and I like glorified it and all this stuff. What if it's not glorified? And I could say, what if I can't recover it from within the day with my 5 hours at night or whatever it happens to be, maybe I shouldn't be doing it. Maybe it's irresponsible to my personal energy and my long-term vision for my life to be doing that much in one day. And like, maybe, there's a couple other good things in that book. So I'm just going to say it one more time. Effortless by Greg McKeown. It was very good.
I wrote that down. That's going to go on my list now.
I will say list. I always promote the book I just read. So that's my problem. That's because I'm always just like I'm just finishing. I'm so excited. But man, it's been really good to have you. Can you give the folks listening or watching this a URL to go to and where to find you guys on social?
Sure. So URL is proofpoint.marketing and social. Just find me on LinkedIn, Mike Grinberg.
Awesome. And I don't know necessarily what the call to action is here at the end for anything. I think for me, I just say, check out hookagency.com and Hook Agency all over social. If there's anything I can do to help you, I do want to be that guy that can help, or like, I'm not trying to sell anything to anyone, but if I could help you with like a Zoom here or there, I'm open to it. I think I just have that desire because I got helped and I keep on getting help by other agency people. And I don't know why. People are nice. I mean, maybe
who've been some good coaches, like, because you mentioned you've had some good ones.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm gonna try to remember them. I had two. So first of all, I did do the Alt MBA, which kind of was like a coach a little bit. It's
Talking about Seth Godin's
Seth
thing.
Godin.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that was a little bit like a coach because it's like a mastermind.
Yep.
Mads Singers is an SEO company coach, marketing agency coach. And that was very good for culture and leadership stuff. Really culture. I was trying to SEO culture coach, right? That's weird. Or a marketing
Interesting.
agency culture coach. Weirdly good. Really good. Right at the time that when I was you guys said. I think he's in like Costa Rica or something. He's like in a different part of the world, but he was good. Works with a lot of agencies.
Have you used anybody for like
And
leadership
then,
and HR? Because like we're at this point where we've got other people managing people, and we're
yeah,
realizing that we need to get better at
some,
training them, but
to
then
me,
also
he
getting
was
some
good. Yeah.
processes in place.
I think he was the good, that was the one that helped me with that. So
Okay.
Mad Singers, like, and it is totally
Matt,
about that. It's about
Matt or
structure.
Mad?
Mads,
Mads.
MADS. And there's a lot of YouTube content. So you could go watch a couple of his YouTubes and
Mhm.
get his vibe
Cool.
before you like contact him. But he's got like, I mean, it's a very reasonable pricing. It's like,
Mhm.
I don't want to throw him, like maybe
Sure.
his price has gone up or whatever, but it was like a 3-month thing you could do. Like I like stuff like that where I don't have to like commit to the forever. And then Gene Hammett was before him. So for people super early, I don't know if he takes super early people anymore, but he kind of nudged me on the niche even back when I was just starting, and it did push me in that direction a lot. He used to be a sales coach, he used to be a sales guy at an agency. So that's his background, is a little bit more on sales. So Gene Hammett was my other coach for sales. And both of them, I really appreciated. For me, the big takeaway for Gene Hammett, which he hammered on a lot, was like, I was like 90% marketing and 10% sales. And he was like, get that up, like you just got to push it 50-50 or whatever. Like you can't just sit on your computer the rest of your life. Like get on the phone,
Yeah.
get on Zoom, just get in front of people, network for real. Cause it's almost like stealing from yourself. You're being lazy and you're just acting like you can graphic design your way into revenue. It's hard. And so anyways, those are my coaches. All right, I'm going to wrap this show up and we can talk after. Thank you guys for listening or watching the Agency Growth Mastermind podcast, episode 11. Who knew that we'd have 11 episodes of this? It's going slow, but I feel like this is a good kind of way to actually like watch us grow too. Check out Proof Point on social, watch what Mike's doing. He's going to be crushing it over this next couple of years. We kind of network a little bit together. Get your people around, get other people in your immediate area to network with as well, because those agency owners, this is just different things. It's hard to talk about this stuff always over the internet, and you're not going to learn everything over Facebook comments. And I don't know. I just think getting in person with people is useful. All right. Thanks guys for watching or listening. See ya.